So we got some breaking news about the IRA, and the rules for both traditional IRA and Roth IRA are changing for 2026, especially for folks who are getting serious about that final push to retirement. And if you have been feeling like you're in a race against the clock, the government just gave you slightly longer legs. So let's get right into the new numbers. What's changing for the 2026 tax year? For 2026, the contribution limit is going up to $7,500 if you're under 50. That's a $500 jump from the $7,000 limit we had in 2025. Now, if you're over the age of 50, that catch-up contribution is also going to be increased from $1,000 to $1,100, which brings your total contribution limit to $8,600 for the year. So if you're married, that's $17,200 you and your spouse can get into Roth IRAs for the year. That is a serious chunk of change to put into a tax-free bucket. But keep in mind that you and your spouse have to maintain two separate IRAs because you cannot combine your retirement accounts. But before we dive into the income limits and all the math that comes with it, let me explain how an IRA actually works because some people get this confused with a 401k. So think of your 401k as the company car, and it's great. You can use it, you can put stuff in it, but it's tied to your employer. The second you leave that job, you cannot put another dime into that specific 401k. You stop contributing, the account is still yours, but your ability to add to it is frozen. You either have to leave it there or, more commonly, you roll it over. An IRA, on the other hand, or individual retirement account, is your personal car. And it's your personal account, right? And it stays with you no matter where you work. You can leave a job at company A and start a new one at company B, and you can still keep contributing to that same IRA, no interruptions. It's the retirement account that follows you for the rest of your life, not the job. But the single most important rule about contributing to your IRA is that you must have earned income. You cannot just decide to fund your IRA with, say, pension income, Social Security, or stock dividends. The IRS wants to see that you earn money from a job. You need a W 2 or a 1099 from self employment. If you're married and your spouse works, you can use their earned income to fund your IRA, but the money has to come from work. If you're fully retired and have no earned income whatsoever, you cannot contribute to your IRA anymore. That's the deal. So, okay, let's get a few terms straight because they're not interchangeable. And using a wrong one will confuse you, your accountant, and probably the IRS. First, you have a contribution. This is new money going into the IRA. This is you transferring from your checking or savings account and putting it into your IRA. That $7,500 or $8,600 limit we just talked about, that's a contribution limit. Second, you have a rollover. This is moving money from an old employer plan like a 401k or a 403b into your IRA. This is not a contribution. It does not count against your $7,500 limit or $8,600 limit. You can roll over $1 million from your 401k and still contribute your $7,500 or $8,600 for the year. And a rollover is just moving money from one retirement account to another. Third, you have a conversion. A conversion is when you take pre-tax money that's already in a traditional 401k or IRA and move it over to a Roth IRA. And when you do this, you have to pay income taxes on the amount you convert because you're moving it from a pre-tax account to an after-tax account, tax-free forever account. And this is just like a rollover. It's not a contribution and does not count against your annual limit. But the Backdoor Roth IRA for high income earners has a different type of conversion, and I'm going to go over that later on in this video. Now, let's talk about the main event, which is the 2026 Roth IRA income limits. And this is the part that matters a lot to people. And the IRS every year adjusts these numbers for inflation, which is why you cannot just set it and forget it. For the 2026 tax year, if you're a single filer or a head of household, and your modified adjusted gross income is over $153,000, you have officially hit the income phase out range. And for those of you who are married and filing taxes jointly, your numbers are going to be bigger in 2026. If your household modified adjusted gross income tops $242,000 in 2026, you are in the phase out zone. If your household modified adjusted gross income hits $252,000 or more, that door is shut for you too. And at this point, if you want to get money into a Roth IRA, your entire contribution, whether it's the $7,500 for those under 50 or $8,600 for those 50 and over, has to go through the backdoor Roth IRA process. What this means in plain English is that the government starts to limit how much you can directly put into your Roth IRA. It's not a hard no just yet. It's a hold on, let's do some math first. Now, there's a hard ceiling. If you're a single filer or a head of household and your modified adjusted gross income for 2026 is over $168,000, you cannot contribute one single dollar directly to a Roth IRA. And this creates a really weird, annoying situation where part of your contribution might be a normal direct deposit, but the other part will need to be done through that backdoor Roth IRA strategy that I keep mentioning. Now, what exactly is a backdoor Roth IRA? It's a strategy that lets high earners get money into a Roth IRA even when they make too much to contribute directly. Here's how it works, step by step, for those over the Roth IRA income limits. Step one, you make a non-deductible contribution or after-tax dollars from your checking or savings account to a traditional IRA. There are no income limits for this, and anyone can put money into a traditional IRA as long as they have earned income. And step two, you immediately convert that traditional IRA money into a Roth IRA. And you don't pay taxes on the backdoor conversion because you put non-deductible contributions or after-tax contributions to your traditional IRA, so the IRS does not tax you twice. However, you cannot have any rollover IRA or existing pre-tax dollars in your traditional IRA, or it's going to trigger a Pro-Rata Rule and make you pay taxes. And I'll explain that in a second. You are basically sidestepping the income limits by using a traditional IRA as a temporary holding account. And I call my traditional IRA a transit account for the backdoor process. And step three is to invest that money you transfer from your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA. Then you're done. Now your money is growing tax-free. Now there's one thing you need to watch out for, and it's called a Pro-Rata Rule. If you already have money in a traditional IRA from previous years and that money was deductible for some reason, you cannot just convert that new non-deductible contribution by itself. The IRS makes you convert a proportional mix of deductible and non-deductible money, and you will owe taxes on the deductible portion. And this is where people get tripped up. If you have a big traditional IRA balance sitting around, the backdoor Roth IRA process gets messy and potentially expensive. One way around this is to roll your traditional IRA money into your 401k at work if your plan allows it. That clears out your traditional IRA, making the backdoor Roth process clean and simple. For example, let's say you have $10,000 in your Fidelity traditional IRA because you rolled that over from your old 401k several years ago. And those $10,000 are in pre-tax dollars. And when you put $7,500 in a non-deductible contribution or after-tax dollars, now you have a mix of $10,000 in pre-tax and $7,500 in after-tax dollars. And that triggers a Pro-Rata Rule. So when you combine both of those amounts, it's $17,500, right? So $7,500 or 43% of your traditional IRA is in after-tax dollars. And the remaining $10,000 or 57% of your traditional IRA is in pre-tax dollars. So when you move that $7,500 from your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA, 57% of your $7,500 or $4,275 becomes taxable income. You're going to end up paying federal and state income taxes on the $4,275 because you had a pre-existing $10,000 balance in your traditional IRA, but the remaining 43% or $3,225 is considered non-taxable. In order to fix this, you can either roll that $10,000 to your current 401k or pay the taxes now by converting the whole amount to your Roth IRA. Is that clear as mud? You can always schedule a consultation with me by visiting 560.com/consultation. So let's dig into this phase out range because this is where all the confusion happens as well. And now let's start with you, single filers. For 2026, the income phase out range begins at a modified adjusted gross income of $153,000. That's the floor. The ceiling, as we said, is $168,000. The difference between those two numbers is $15,000. That $15,000 window is your entire phase out range. And that means your ability to contribute directly to a Roth IRA diminishes across that range. The more you make inside that window, the less you can put in directly into your Roth IRA. So let's put some real numbers on this to make it crystal clear. Imagine you're a single guy or gal and you're 40 years old and you had a great year. Your modified adjusted gross income for 2026 is going to be around $163,000. You're not above the limit, but you're smack in the middle of that phase out zone. So what do? First, we figure out how far into the Roth IRA phase out range you are. We take your income, $163,000, and subtract the start of the phase out, which is $153,000. That gives us a difference of $10,000, right? Now we take that $10,000 and divide it by the total size of the phase out window, which we already established is $15,000. So $10,000 divided by $15,000 gives us about 66.7%, or 2/3 if you prefer fractions for some weird reason. And this percentage, 66.7%, represents the portion of your contribution that cannot be made directly from your bank account to your Roth IRA. It's the part you're phased out. So let's apply this to the contribution limits. For 2026, your maximum contribution limit is that new $7,500 figure. And we take that $7,500 and multiply it by our disallowed percentage, which was 66.7%. That gives us around $5,000. So this $5,000 is the amount that must be done through a backdoor Roth conversion, which is to your traditional IRA, and then transfer it to your Roth IRA. The remaining portion, the other 33% or 1/3 of your $7,500 limit, comes out to about $2,500. And that's the amount you're still allowed to contribute directly to your Roth IRA, no questions asked. So you would literally have to do two different transactions, which is one, a $2,500 direct contributions, and the other, a $5,000 backdoor conversion. But is it wrong to just backdoor the entire $7,500 or $8,600? Not at all. Many high income earners in that phase out range just choose to wait until the end of the year, just in case they get a pay raise, a bonus, or additional income streams. Because what if your income ends up being $164,000 instead of $163,000? And if you miscalculate and put in too much as a direct contribution, the IRS considers that as an excess contribution and they will penalize you for it. And it's a 6% penalty per year for as long as that excess money stays in the account. And frankly, it's just not worth the risk or the paperwork nightmare to fix it. So if you think you're going to be in this phase out range, just don't contribute directly. You can wait. You have until the tax deadline, April 15, 2027, to make your 2026 contribution. By then, you will know your exact 2026 income and you can make the right move. Or even better, if you know you're going to be in or above this range, just do the entire $7,500 or $8,600 as a backdoor Roth IRA from the start. It's clean, it's one process, and you make a non-deductible contribution to a traditional IRA. You wait a few days for the funds to settle, and then you convert the whole amount to your Roth IRA. Done. No math, no guessing, no gray area. Now, let's look at the situation for married couples filing taxes jointly. And same principle, different numbers. And the window is actually tighter. For 2026, the phase out for you starts at a household modified adjusted gross income of $242,000 and $252,000. The difference here is just $10,000. This is a much smaller window to navigate than the $15,000 range for single filers. And this means your eligibility drops off quickly. So let's say you and your spouse are both over 50. You project your household modified adjusted gross income to be $248,000 for 2026, and you're right in that $10,000 phase out window. And first, we find out how far in you are with the phase out range. we take your income, $248,000, and subtract the starting point, $242,000, and that leaves us with $6,000. Next, we divide that $6,000 by the total size of the phase-out window, which is $10,000, and that gives us a simple percentage of 60%. And this 60% is the portion of your contribution that is disallowed for direct Roth IRA contributions. The other 40% is good to go. So let's apply this to the contribution limits. Let's say you and your spouse are over 50 years old, so your maximum contribution is $8,600 each in 2026. We take that $8,600 and multiply it by the disallowed percentage, which is 60%, and that gives us around $5,160. Again, this amount must be done through a backdoor Roth conversion. The remaining portion, which is 40% of your $8,600 limit, comes out to $3,440. That's the amount you're still allowed to contribute directly to your Roth IRA. But keep in mind, this limit is per person, not per household. So it would be a combined limit of $10,320 through your backdoor Roth IRAs and $6,880 directly to your Roth IRAs. Again, you can see how this partial contribution and partial conversion can become messy and complicated quickly. Now you're tracking 4 different transactions, which are a direct contribution for you, a backdoor for you, a direct contribution for your spouse, and another backdoor process for your spouse. It is so much cleaner to just wait, confirm your final income, and if you're over that $242,000 limit. The 2026 Roth IRA rules are straightforward once you understand the numbers. If you're under the income limits, max it out. If you're in the phase-out range, do the math or just wait until tax time to know for sure. And if you're over the limits, the backdoor Roth is your best friend. Don't leave money on the table, especially if you're trying to catch up in your 40s, 50s, or 60s. These are your peak earning years. And the Roth IRA is one of the best retirement accounts you can have. Tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawal in retirement, that's a gift you're giving to your future self. And this has been another piece of a video that we got a lot out of it.